All right, so today's video is going to be all about the double stroke roll. And I'm going to go over kind of an overview for beginners and some tips to get started, but also some tips if you've already got pretty good double stroke rolls, if you want to kind of take them to the next level. Um, so if you want to skip the beginner stuff, hopefully there'll be timestamps in the description if I can figure that out. So here we go. So, what's the double stroke roll? As the name implies, double, it's groups of two. So, we've got two on one hand, followed by two on the other hand, and repeat. So, I'll just demonstrate a double stroke roll here, starting with the right hand. Here we go. So, and there you go. Yeah, of course, the first thing is to practice them really slow. That was maybe a little bit faster than maybe you should try it if it's your first time. Um, but yeah, it's a pretty easy rudiment. I see a lot of my students when I first teach them this, they kind of get in their head and kind of flub. Um, but um, but yeah, I would just I usually recommend to try and let muscle memory take over and just relax and don't overthink it. Um, So practice that really slow with really good technique. Um, Once you've got it kind of down and internalized, you're feeling pretty comfortable. Um, I would do this next one, this next exercise with the double stroke, and you can do this with pretty much any rudiment. It works great for the basic ones, double strokes and paradiddles, um, and it's something that I sometimes do like right when I get on the kit. Um, right when I first start practicing. So all you do is you start slow and start dead slow, like real slow, and make sure your technique is really good. And then just start increasing your speed. And as you increase your speed, try and stay relaxed the whole time. You know, when you get going pretty fast, people want to tense up, and that'll kind of hinder your ability to really to go fast. Um, so try and stay really relaxed and kind of just get up to where you kind of can't do it anymore, and then you're done. Maybe start over if you want to. But yeah, usually once or twice is good for this exercise. It's a great way to build speed. It's kind of like maxing out on weights. Um, but yeah, I'll just demonstrate it real quick. It's pretty self-explanatory, but here's what it would sound like. So. Cool. So that'd be exercise number one, I guess. So number two, this is maybe for some of the more advanced players. This is an exercise I like a lot. So it's similar to the last one we did, um, but obviously you'll notice there is a point where you're not really doing them as right right and left left. You're doing them kind of as a bounce, kind of like this. Um, and when you're, that's the double stroke is really so that you can play two fast strokes. Even on that first one, even if you're a beginner, once you get going fast to where you're kind of you can't do it singles anymore. Try and just go for the bounce. I think just the more you do it, the easier it gets. Um, so yeah, so for some of the more advanced players, if you're playing a song and you want to do some sort of lick or something with a double stroke. Sometimes you're not sure if the tempo you're at, if you're like, oh, is it slow enough that I need to do singles, or can I go ahead and can I do bounces, or is it going to be too slow? Am I going to flub this? Um, so to kind of combat that, because we don't want that to happen, that kind of it's a good way to kill your vibe when you're playing a song, is to Like I said, similar to that first one. So there's that point where you transition from singles over to bounces. And what you want to do, there's a speed where that happens, right? So what you want to do is at that point, you kind of want to hover around it. So you kind of want to go, kind of want to be just under it, and you're doing them as individual strokes, and then kind of build up faster till you transition into bounces, and then dial it back again to where you're going back into individual strokes, and then just kind of keep hovering around that point. So that'll sound like this. Yeah, so kind of start right underneath that point and then speed it up to where you transition over and dial it back. This exercise helped me out a lot. Yeah, it's a really good one. I never worry about that anymore. So there you go. So the third one, this is probably a pretty common one. So if you're doing your doubles and you're doing them as bounces, you'll probably notice that the second stroke, the one that's actually bounced, is at least at the beginning quite a bit lower volume than your first one. Kind of like that. And especially if you're doing marching or something like that, you really want them to be consistent. But everyone should want them to be consistent, but in marching especially. So in order to get that one a little bit louder, you can do this exercise where you start off slow and you play that second stroke just really loud. You just accent that second stroke at a slow tempo, and you kind of speed it up. So that would sound like this. So. Until eventually, it's the same thing. You'll start out as individual strokes and you'll get into bounces. But eventually you can't play that second one louder than your first one. But they will eventually. It'll kind of equalize and they'll be pretty even. So that one again helped me out a lot. I feel like I've got pretty good doubles now, and that feels pretty good. So hopefully these help you, and leave a comment if they do, or if they don't. Yeah, whatever. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.